kusoo dhawaada forumka waxaan runtii rabaa inaan aad iyo aad idinkaga mahadcelinayno waqtigiina qiimaha badan aadna siiseen dhammaantiin dadka meeshaan joogay maanta waa dadkii alxalli walcaqdiga ahaa oo maaragtay waddankan taladiisa iyo fikirkiisa iyo xooggiisa iyo enerjigiisaba la rabo maaragtay inay geliyaan enerjigooda oo ay maaragtay gaarsiiyaan meelaha ay gaareen maaragtay wadamada jaarka la ah ama jiilka la ah marka soo dhawaada akhyaaray madashu waa noo furan tahay ujeedada runtii SIU forum loo aas-aasay oo ugu muhiimsan waxaa weeyaan SIU waxay yaqiinsatay oo ogaatay in baahida waddanku uu qabo iyo dhibaatada ay jirta kaliya inaan lagu xallin karin kalaaska dhexdiisa marka in loo baahan yahay extra curriculum maaragtay casharo iyo wacyigelin iyo mawaadiic maaragtay asaas ah in maaragtay oo mujtamac u baahan yahay inay jiraan marka iyadoo taas ka doodaysay waxay go'aansatay in forumkan ay suubiso forumkana uu noqdo forum cilmiyeed uusan maaragtay kaliya mid siyaasadeed ama mid ajendayaal kale ku jira uusan ahayn uu yahay mid la rabo si academic ah oo maadada markasta ciwaanka la rabo in laga hadlo dadka la xiriira oo maaragtay ku takhasusay areadaas inta loo soo xolo si furan oo maaragtay oo xor ay yihiin inay u cabiraan fikirkooda iyo taladooda ummadda Soomaaliyeedna la wadaagaan markii taas la helo ayaa waxay u noqonaysaa ardaydeena extra curricular u noqonaysaa mujtamaca Soomaaliyeed oo dhan meel kasta joogan waxay u noqonaysaa in laga jawaabo ama la soo dhaweeyo maskaxdooda su'aalihii ku jira oo ahaa marka khaasatan mawduuc maanta aan ka hadlayna waxa weeyaan waa state formation state building waxaan marti qaadnay runtii dadka aan lahayn intaan gaari karno dad badan oo jiraan oo khubaro ah oo mawduucan ay laftooda ku khubaro dheer dadka dhanna meel iskugu ma keeni karo laakiin intii aan gaari karno aan isleenahay way maaragtay ugu mudan yihiin waxa ugu horeysa rabnaa uga mahadcelin runtii dadkaas khiyaarta ah oo panelkan nagala soo qayb galay xildhibaan Fawziyo Yusuf Xaaji Aadan aad iyo aad baan uga mahadcelinaynaa title-keeda iyo position-keeda iyo runtii waxaa sheegay Ustaad Haadi laakiin aad baan ugu faraxsanahay waxaan u aragnaa inay tahay qof khabiir ah oo ku soo shaqeeyay aqoontiina la kuna shaqeeyay professionally mawduuca maanta laga hadlayo oo ilaa deputy prime minister wadankii ku matashay marka aad iyo aad ay u mahadsantahay Fawziyo waqtigeeda qiimaha badan ay nasiisay nagala soo qayb gashay sidoo kale waxaa nala jooga Dr. Cabdiraxmaan Baadiyo oo markii akaademiya laga hadlan aan ognahay Soomaaliya akaademiyada position ugu jiro qoraalada uu ka suubiyay maaragtay Soomaaliya iyo xaaladaheedana waa wax la wada yaqaano oo academically meel kasta ku publish garaysan marka asagana ugu mahadcelinayna waqtigiisa Dr. Axmed Ali Khayre asaguna runtii PhD international law oo University of London maaragtay asaguna runtii dadka aad wax uga qara mawduucan aad wax uga qara maaragtay asoo ka aadaya inta badan perspective of law international law iyo maaragtay law asoo ka aadaya aad iyo aad asaguna runtii wax badan uga qoray oo khabiir ku ah sidoo kale waxaan maaragtay soo dhaweynaa uga mahadcelinaa waqtigiisa Sheekh Bashiir Axmed Salaad oo asaguna runtii caalim islaami ah oo waqti badanna runtii ka soo shaqeeyay dacwada islaamka يعني أكاديمية كل شيء واحد غير أنا دينا عد عودة كذي على غير كنا يغنان لكن الشيخ بشير وهو كميدها معلمين جامعة اللفولة سواء كلا وهو كميدها ومعلم كسر نقضي يمامله دارة الدين وكسر نقضي جامعة أبو بكر الإسلامية كراچي باكستان أيو إنك بدن تمانية تدرسنا معلم يوحو كاها يمارة الدين كلية أيو كاها سواء كلا واحد مرتين ها أصلا نلجوي روبرت كولبر باريس سكول اوف انترناشونال افيرز runtii macallin waqti badan ka ahaa dhalashahaan Netherland wadanka ka soo jeeda Holland wuxuu wax ka qoraa Robert Somali studies wax ka qoraa marka uu nala soo xiriir wuxuu waxaan rabaa Soomaali inaan wax ka qoro waxaan rabaa research sax ah oo maaragtay academic ah inaan wax ka helo sidaas ayaan ku soo dhaweynaa anaga aan maaragtay invite gareynay uu ku yimid saddexdii maaragtay asbuuc la soo dhaafana uu nala joogay waqtigiisa wuxuu mar waqti uu waxbaraya ardada iyo mar uu maaragtay magaalada dadka uu isleeyahay mawduucan way qusaysaa oo maaragtay uu la kulmayo jaamacadan ay ka saacidaysay marka intaasaan ku soo aruurinaa aad iyo aad baan mahadsantahay khair
violence the federal state construction and the constitutional review process changing the electoral system to achieve one man one vote democratic system for details of each topic marka ayaan u gali doonaa saddexda topigan xooga saari doonaa laakiin intaana xabadana u gelin iyo ustaad Sheekh Bashiir oo noo gali doona asagana perspective-ka dawlad dhisitaanka marka laga fiiriyo shariicada islaamka ama diinta islaamka marka Robert Califer aan ku soo dhaweynaynaa soo noogu bilaabo barnaamijka we would like to start for us program.
Okay. Assalamu alaikum. Igarale ahada afsomaliga makodlay. Let me be bukol ki ba laba mashan sade. So I will give my keynote address in English. I hope everybody can understand. I will try to speak clearly. Maybe if you don't understand, you can give some explanation. So I'm going to address the question first, why is there an international intervention in Somalia? So my PhD research is about the international intervention in state building in Somalia, I mentioned. And I want to present now some of my findings as a reply to this question. So the first question should be, so why is there an international intervention in Somalia? In the opinion of almost all independent experts, this intervention has been a failure. It has failed to deliver peace, development, or a functioning state to Somalis. It costs an enormous amount of money. 250 million euros per month only for AMISOM. 3 billion euros a year only for AMISOM. This is paid by taxpayers. You know, the money is not printed. It's paid by taxpayers, mostly in Europe and America. So what is the interest of the West to continue the intervention? To fight terrorism? It's one reason, but it's clearly not working at all. By the way, Al-Shabaab has never attacked any target in the West. So what's another reason given? To steal Somali resources. I hear a lot of people think that actually the objective of the international intervention is to have a hand on Somali resources. But there is no evidence of that, and honestly, I think it's a Somali fantasy. By the way, if that's what we want, we're also failing. Other question maybe to save lives, but Somali people are still living in very bad conditions. So again, we have failure. So looking specifically at state building as an exercise, we see that after a decade of very intense involvement by the international community, the federal government is still incapable of providing essential services even to the population of Mogadishu. It is gripped in a political deadlock and can't achieve the main objectives of adopting a constitution, preparing for democratic elections, ensuring its own security, or further building the state. Now, honestly, I have a lot of sympathy for this government. I believe it's doing its best, but we must admit that progress is very slow. So the question is, what keeps the international community from leaving? This should be seriously considered in Somalia. Do Somalis assume that the international community will always stay to provide financial and security support to the state? Now, in my meetings in Mogadishu over the past 2 weeks, nobody seems really concerned with building a sustainable state, a Somali state that is not dependent on external support, that can operate on its internal revenue. Instead of being the expression of Somali society through a social contract, the state, it's like a portal to the international community and its resources, money, more money, and political legitimacy. There's not much public discussion about what kind of state Somalia should have. It seems that has already been decided, and the real discussion is about how to share its resources and sell the project to the Somali people, or how to secure the buy-in of the Somali population. Sell, buy, it's all about money. It seems money is at the heart of the state building project. So the federal state building discussion, the discussion about making a federal state, it should be about the principle of self-government through devolution, and how all Somali communities can be given a stake in this state. Instead, the discussion is only about how Mogadishu will or will not share power with political elites in the capitals of the federal member states. By the way, we're just speaking about the capitals of the federal member states. It is left to those regional elites to involve the rest of their population. Will that work? So why would the Somali population support the state? You know, notably by agreeing to pay taxes. Why? If they have no stake in the state, if it gives nothing back to them. This question must be considered first. And this is the question of the social contract, which can be reached between the political elites and the population. The next question is, what kind of state can be built on the social contract? Instead of accepting Western blueprints, you must think out of the box. So many Western observers have been surprised that after the collapse of the Somali state, the society and the economy kept developing. The collapse of the state did not cause the collapse of Somali society. This is the advantage of having a weak state-society link. This led experts to make romantic statements about pastoral democracy, how Somalis can live without a state. But in the 21st century, you need a state. Other observers have become hopeless. After 28 years of state collapse and maybe hundreds of billions of dollars of expenses, Somalia still is the #1 failed state. It tops the world corruption ranking. They say that Somali culture is to blame, clanism, corruption, and the rejection of the rule of law. That they are part of Somali culture, and that's why there will never be a functioning state in Somalia. But examples of successful Somali state building are available in the past, in history, but also now. For example, we have Somaliland. It has many problems, including a high degree of corruption. It has unemployment. It has weak social services. But it has been remarkably successful. I don't need actually. Yes, you can talk. It has been remarkably successful compared to the rest of Somalia. Do you need a microphone or can you hear me? Better? Okay. So yes, Somaliland has been successful compared to the rest of Somalia and even compared to other African countries. There have been peaceful transfers of power, there's low crime and violence rates, and slow but steady economic growth. Most observers agree that the relative success of Somaliland is based on the broad participation of society in the state-building project. This participation takes place through the clans, the Borama, Borao, Hargeisa processes, but also through the economy and the political parties, and the desire, actually, to have a modern functioning state. Somalilanders have a stake in the state. There is some kind of social contract, although it's not so clear. Then we have another success in Somalia, according to questions of state building. And honestly, I know it's very controversial, but honestly, we can mention Al-Shabaab. They govern their areas with fiscal discipline. They rely only on the income they can generate nationally. They use that income to pay salaries on time. They have a justice system which everybody seems to agree is good. The law and order is very tight. Their administration is not corrupt. And they have managed to largely eliminate the clan factor in politics. So actually, they have successfully dealt with the three main problems of Somali politics: clanism, the corruption, and external dependence. But, of course, they reign through fear, and there's no social contract. And given a chance, it seems most people would choose to live in the chaos of the federal government rather than under the authority of Al-Shabaab. However, this shows that we cannot blame Somali culture for the failures of the current federal state-building project. Strangely, I don't see any debate about the lessons that we can learn from both the Al-Shabaab governance and Somaliland in Somali civil society. Also, there's no such debate among the United Nations, the International Monetary Fund, the EU, and other partners that are bankrolling Somali state-building project. It is clear that only one possible state-building project is being considered, and all options are ignored. So, why is there only one alternative? So let me turn to to Antonio Gramsci for an explanation. This Italian political philosopher, who died in 1935, questioned how a ruling class manages to hold on to power. He demonstrated that it was not through physical power, it's not through a monopoly of violence and material wealth, but by imposing a certain vision of the world and its values. And that's how a ruling class maintains hegemony. Hegemony was his word. It means complete domination. Successful rule, he said, it's not through force, it's through consent. We can see an example, for example, in the phenomenon which we call money. Money, it's something immaterial. Yeah, it's digital. Even when it's paper, it's just paper. Now we see that people used to be motivated to participate in society and in politics by things like honor. Yeah? A good reputation as a fair, honest person used to be more important than wealth. Of course, wealth is also important. But now, in a capitalist society, only money is important. It seems that somebody who will make a decision against his own financial interest, but for his integrity and his reputation, this person will almost seem like a fool nowadays. We all have to be made to believe that money is the most important thing in life. Now this is an example of hegemony. Through the media, through education, through politics, through everything, we are taught that the only thing we should really do in our life is run after the money. Of course, according to the law of supply and demand, if everybody wants money, then that money is going to become more valuable. In other words, capital reigns supreme in this world. And the capitalist class has achieved hegemony. So this is the example of hegemony. Now, we can understand. Now we can understand why the international intervention is continuing in Somalia, despite the failure. Because it is successful in this one thing. It is establishing the hegemony of the Western state model, based on this liberal capitalism. It used to be democracy and human rights also. I think that's disappearing. So the main goal of young Somalis is to obtain money. No? That's how it seems. And then spend that money on phones, cars, other consumer products, maybe also education. In any case, this reinforces the hegemony. So we can say this is successful. No? By speaking English, by wearing a suit and a tie, learning to talk like Western people, that's how Somalis get access to the international community and to the international ruling class. Who's the international ruling class? These are the people living here in Halane. They are like the missionaries of Western hegemony. They truly believe that what they are doing to spread this model, it's good. They truly believe it, yeah? They're like so when you join this international ruling class, which I have done for a time of my life also, but I cannot do anymore, then you get access to the wealth and the prestige, to the conferences, to the education, to the friendship networks. It is a rational choice for people to make that choice. But for the society as a whole, maybe not. So to conclude my intervention, I believe that this explains the reason for international intervention in Somalia better than any other explanation. However, this model may not be as stable as it seems. I think we should look at two perspectives, one European, the other one from Somalia. Let us not first forget that the European states and the intervention and all these salaries and rents that are being paid in Halan, the origin of that is taxpayer money. Now, taxpayers are starting to revolt in the West. They're getting back less and less for their money. As a result, we're seeing the rise of populism and Trump. Yeah, they're a sign of that revolt. The day is not far away when these populist politicians will say, why are we wasting our money in Somalia? Then suddenly they will withdraw. And then maybe you can turn to the Chinese and other people who still have money. But the game will change. Now, but more importantly, from the perspective of Somalia, we can say most of the population is receiving no benefit from the donor-driven consumption of the Somali political class. They would prefer the money, probably, not to be used to buy land cruisers and things like this, but to be invested in infrastructure and social services. Currently, now, do they have a stake in this state? A stake that will make them willing to pay taxes and otherwise obey the government and its rule of law? If not, the Somali state may remain weak, and the result will be permanent instability. Therefore, I think really the debate that we're holding, like the debate we're going to hold today, it's very important and most useful. We must think out of the box. We must forget the external model for a while. Somalis have to consult within their own society, and we don't need any NGOs to come and teach them how to do that. They have to consult within the society what kind of state they want. They have to reach, have to reach some kind of social contract. They can use the lessons that are learned from history, the lessons that are learned from other regions in Somalia which are now being governed in a different way. Draw lessons from that and wonder what is the social contract that will be the basis of the coming Somali state. Thank you.
Robert, aad u mahadsan yahay.